And hey everybody, welcome to the Inland Sports Show. My name is Pep Fernandez, 6:05 first pitch, and I think we're actually right about on time this week. Listen, I really appreciate you tuning in, and there is so much to unpack, so much to talk about this week. Of course, we're going to touch on CIF and high school sports here in the Inland Empire. And plus, you know, if you're looking for local sports, we've got California Baptist and UC Riverside basketball playing right now. And each of them have already had some signature games on their schedule that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So later in the show, we're going to have Mike Magpayo, the head coach at UC Riverside, the men's basketball team. Huge win against the Washington Huskies just yesterday in Las Vegas. He's going to join us on the show. Plus, Justin Remington. He's the athletic director at Canyon Springs High School. And what a time to be an AD right now with so many moving parts right now in the world of high school sports. And you know what? Again, you're probably noticing right now, we are not in the studio this week, but we are optimistic we will be back in the studio come next week. So one more show from home, but we'll get it done. We'll find a way. We'll get it done from my living room, but we'll be back. The plan is to be back in the studio next week. And if you look hard enough, in fact, I didn't see this before, but see this in the corner? In fact, if I cannot, maybe not make a big mess here, we just put up some Christmas stuff in the Fernandez house, and there is a baby Yoda in the old Pep stocking over here. And I didn't see that you could see the end of the stocking right there on our fireplace. Anyways, that's what you do when you get the live show from home. But we appreciate you tuning in. And leading things off, because we love high school football on this show, of course, is the head coach of the Riverside Poly Bears, the great John Rice. And Coach, first off, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And my first question is, how are the workouts going? You said you're going like 4 days a week. How is that going right now for your team?
Well, thanks for having me, Pep. And again, we appreciate all you do for high school sports. At Poly, we've been going 4 days a week since October 1st. So we've had about 32 workouts. Actually, well, the sessions we have they're 4 days a week. So we've been going for 8 weeks. So about 32 sessions. Participation is like 97, 98%. Kids' motivation is very well. We're being very vigilant about following social distancing and being really strict about how we do things. And we think we have a really good organized plan, and we're getting a lot taught. We get to spend a lot of time with the freshmen. I think one of the benefits that we're having is that we get to spend, we've spent already 8 months with our freshmen. With the freshmen since January, June 1. So we spent extra time with the freshmen that we normally wouldn't have. So when they get to play, they've been with us. And then, of course, with the other players, we've been in meetings and things since March. So it's been a long haul, but we think we're on track. When we get the green light, that we'll be ready to go. It's been a great experience. We built relationships with the players who had time to deepen our our relationship with them on a personal level and a staff level. We got to know them better. So, you try to take the positives away. And I think for us, that's what we're trying to concentrate on.
Now, Coach, we've interviewed some other football coaches, baseball coaches, all kinds of different coaches, and I always like to ask them, what does a workout look like right now? And someone said it looks like a track practice. Someone said we've been mixing in some yoga. Like what does a poly workout look like right now?
Okay, so I don't think you can really talk about it without really emphasizing what a careful plan it takes to get kids to social distance when they come from the time they come out of the parking lot. I mean, we have them set up in pods. We have pods of 9 players and 1 coach, and we have the pods check in. They walk up social distance into the check-in area by our pool. At a table, we take their temperature. They come in, they get a wristband saying they've been cleared. We line them up in pods, socially distanced over by the third base side of the baseball field. We walk them in individually. We have safe zones on the field designated for each pod, and they have to come in a certain order. They have anchor points 5 yards apart. And so basically, first of all, when they practice, they have the field width for their pod plus 10 yards and then 5 yards buffer zone on each side. So we spend the first 15 minutes doing a dynamic static stretch and then a dynamic stretch, and then that's for 15 minutes. And so our workouts go about an hour and a half. And so then the next hour and 15 minutes, we work on fundamentals. We work on fundamentals or half side. Since we have the players by position, we can take those 8 players and keep them socially distanced and have enough room to get some fundamentals in, and then maybe some half line stuff because we use the end zones as well. And by strategically placing the groups on different nights, they can have a little more room. So we get as much work as we can in. I think the good point is there's a lot of benefits of it. One is that the coaches are getting to know the players in their pods. Like I said, we've had 32 workouts, so they are getting to know the kids really well. And the players all are pushing each other, and so the level of competition is higher, camaraderie's higher, iron sharpens iron. So I think, and we condition them at the end. We have some competition at the end. We try to vary it up so they don't get bored. But that's what we do. And then, we go an hour on Saturday morning for each of the 3 groups that we have, and we really do some conditioning on Saturday morning. So we give them Monday and Friday night off and try to go 3 days during the week and 1 day on Friday and, make sure their grades are up and everything. But that's what it looks like for us. We're working in position groups. The linemen work both days or all 3 days, and on the line, the quarterbacks work, but then the other kids are splitting 1 day on offense, 1 day on defense.
Coach, how much time do you think we need to really ramp up for a football season? Because I know a lot of coaches are concerned about the lack of time in the weight room. They say maybe 2-3 weeks in helmets and pads. Like, how much time do you think we actually need to ramp up and get into a real football season?
I think that's not a real simple answer. I mean, the simple answer is the CIF requires, 2 weeks in pads. I don't think, but there's more that goes into it. Because we haven't been lifting weights, I think you got to be really careful about soft tissue injuries. Look at the NFL and what happened the first couple of weeks they played. A lot of soft tissue injuries. So I think really, I know there was a push for 4 weeks in our area, and I think we're ready to go for 3 weeks. If we can get 3 weeks in pads, because I think we're going to be in really good condition. We're in good condition right now, and I'm really happy with that. So I think if we stay on it and we get 3 weeks of practice, I don't think you're going to see a lot of drop off. But the issue is going to be, before that date, are we going to get to throw footballs and catch footballs? That's the issue. If you're a run team like North Vista and you're really good at what you do and you run and you're not throwing the ball, I think those teams are smart and they're going to have an advantage. Teams are relying on passing. If you can't throw to your own kids, and then we get the green light and they say, one day we can't throw footballs, and then the next day you can get in pads, I think, it's going to be a little bit of time before you can get up to snuff.
No, I think you're right. That makes complete sense for those run heavy teams out there, or maybe teams will go to the run more, for that simple fact, to get ready for the upcoming season. Now, Coach, I did want to ask you, The CIF state office put out a statement. Gosh, it was just yesterday. It seems a while ago. And then the CIF Southern Section office came right after that, followed that up, and basically echoed what the state said was that we're on hold. I mean, we're kind of all waiting to see what those guidelines from the state level are going to look like for youth sports, which includes high school sports. But until we get those guidelines, like real practices, competition, which would be the actual games, like all that's kind of put on hold. And we're hearing that, we're speculating that we're not going to get those guidelines until at least January. So if you just do the math, the first Friday night of football would be January 8th. There's no way that's not going to happen. So what's your big takeaway from the statement from the CIF state office saying, hey, we're in a holding pattern right now. We're waiting for those public health guidelines?
I think there's a silver lining in that, and I think to understand the silver lining and the impact of it and the importance of it is to realize if you have to be in the red for 2 weeks before you can be out of it. So even if everything went perfect on January 1st, if they announced on the 1st, you still have to go 2 weeks before you could get in pads. And so I think everybody understands that starting on and if our first game was scheduled January 8th, those are impossible to play. And so I think what everybody's shooting for right now, best case scenario is to play non-league and is to play your league games. And I think ours is scheduled February 5th or 12th. So that's still tight. If you need 3 weeks, then you're going to need to start January 15th or the 21st. That's still really tight. So here's where I think maybe some people might have missed an opportunity for us in the intent of the CIF and the reaction of what our CIF is going to be. If things are not ready for us to practice by the third week of January, which they might not be, considering that we have to be in red for 2 weeks, then they don't have to cancel the season at that point. And this comes in where the last possible date to play CIF state championship for football was April 9th on the calendar. We can play football until that day. Now, right now, the CIF playoffs are not canceled because they're hoping we can get 5 in league games and then have playoffs. Now, the next step could be, and I don't have any official word on this, but the option that they have because the state and regional games are canceled is if we're not ready to practice on January 15th and they make a decision to cancel the regular playoffs, our fifth game, if we push back the season, we could start playing in the middle of March. And our last game would be April 9th. So if you count back April 9th as your fifth league game, we could start playing in the middle of March. And that's a fact. That's a possibility. They still have so really we don't have to start. I think the absolute cutoff date for them to cancel would be February 15th. If you look at the math, you count back from April 9th and you go 5 league games. And that would be if they canceled the playoff games, which nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball. We just have to keep hoping for the best. And we talked to our players yesterday and our staff. And we told them, this is the possibility. We think we have until February 15th. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to prepare as if. It's a great lesson in resilience and modeling, reaction to adversity, because these are life lessons, man. This is life happening. And those kids look to us. So we're going to do everything we can to keep preparing. And we'll see what happens January 1st. We're going to prepare and be in shape. So when and if we get that okay to go, we're in great physical shape. That's how we can help the safety of our kids, the health, and not only the physical health, but their mental health as well. They have to have something to hold on to, or you'll lose them because they've been working out, and holding on since the summer. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important that we keep them with something to hold on to that's realistic.
No, I think you're on to something, Coach, with those league games. And I know, the CIF Southern Section, they get a good chunk of revenue from the football playoffs. So if there's a way they could, sneak in those playoffs, I know they're going to try to do it. And you're right, maybe we lop off the 5 non-league and we go 5 league games, and then what playoffs would be like an extra 4 games if you made it to the championship. I mean, that'd be like a 9-game season if you won a championship. And CIF would get their playoff revenue, and we'd get almost a 10-game schedule for some teams. I mean, I don't know, but that might be the best case scenario, I think, at this point. I
think everybody wants to play playoffs. And CIF, their income, they're an organization that has paid staff members, and they depend on the playoffs, and they have to be funded for that. So, but I will say this, knowing Rob Wygott and their organization, that I don't think that's not their primary concern. I think their primary concern is that kids get to play and they keep them first. Otherwise, I don't think they would have carried themselves the way they have so far. Now, I'm sure they want playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to it and we're not ready on the 15th of January or February 1st even, that they cancel those playoffs so that we can play. And I think that would be a terrible thing for them financially because, again, we have to have the CIF, and everything they do for sports. Without them, we would not have the organization we have and the integrity. So they're absolutely terrific and a necessity for high school football and high school sports here.
Well, Coach Rice, I always appreciate the time. I love our candid conversations. And yeah, we're all praying and hoping for the best that we can sneak in a football season still here, and especially for those seniors, man. We want to see them out on the field getting one more crack at it.
Yep, and it is about the seniors, and those are the kids we feel for the most. We have got to get them some time to get on the field, and a lot of them are aspiring to play college football, even though it's about 3% will play at the next level. You still got to give them the chance to do that, and so we're going to hope for the best and prepare. And again, thanks for all you're doing to keep people educated, and hopefully we'll get a chance to visit with you soon.
I hope so. That's Coach John Rice from Riverside Poly High School. Thank you, Coach. Stay safe out there. Tell everyone on your staff I said hello, including the wily old Bill Powell out there.
Will do. I'll let him know.
All right. Thank you, Coach. I do appreciate your time, and continue those good workouts out there. All right. That's John Rice, head football coach at Riverside Poly High School. We will take a quick commercial break here on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back, we'll have our interview with Justin Remington, the athletic director at Canyon Springs High School. We'll be back on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports. The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona. The #1 sporting goods store in the Inland Empire is Kin Sporting Goods in Norco. Whether you need new uniforms for the entire team, a Letterman's jacket, or new cleats for the upcoming season, check out Kin Sporting Goods. Plus, now you can order masks with your favorite team, school, business, and more. Order for your entire team or organization. Visit kinsportinggoods.com for more information and for the latest on the big sales. Make sure to follow Kin Sporting Goods on Instagram and Twitter. So if you need team uniforms or sports gear, there's only one place to go in the Inland Empire. That's Kin Sporting Goods. Calling all athletes. Make sure you're at your very best by training at Boost Performance Training in Corona. Whether you're a football player, soccer player, baseball player, lacrosse, athletes from all sports and all levels train at Boost Performance Training. Led by former Centennial High School football star Ray Bass, you'll develop explosive power, become faster, and add that lean muscle. Don't be left behind and get a leg up on the competition at Boost Performance Training. Visit boosttrainingsystems.com for information on their training programs and also on the Bass School. That's the Bass Alternative School for student athletes. Trying to earn a scholarship? Maybe make the varsity team? Get a spot in the starting lineup? Well, let Boost Performance Training help achieve your athletic goals. Need an oil change? Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. Family owned and operated, they're committed to our community. There's 2 locations, so there's one close to you, off the 91 freeway at Arlington and off the 215 freeway at Alessandro. Oil changes are very important, so make sure you swing by. It only takes 10 minutes, and you can do a lot more than just have your oil changed. How about new wiper blades? How about an air filter? Plus many more services such as radiator and transmission. Find out more information at 2getspoiled.com. Don't wait. Get spoiled today.
Inland Sports. And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. A big thanks to John Rice for joining us live. And in fact, that was his office at Riverside Poly High School as he was just getting set to head out to the field for one of those Riverside Poly football workouts. Now, again, a lot of us still talking about and buzzing about the fact that the CIF state office came out and made the statement that everything is basically on hold until we get these public health guidelines, which means the fall sports, which many, in fact, let me punch up real quick what the fall sports schedule was going to look like. And again, this was all blown up because this is not the case now. But boys volleyball was supposed to start on December 12th. Boys volleyball will now be what they call season number 2, basically spring season now, where they naturally would be in the spring anyway. So boys volleyball was moved to a completely different season to try to salvage their year. But you can see girls volleyball, boys water polo, boys and girls cross country, girls water polo. Those were all supposed to start. Those are real games. That's competition, real games this month. And again, all that's going to be pushed back. Throw those dates out the window. And for you football fans out there, there is no way that we are going to start week 1 on January 8th. As you just heard from John Rice, a lot of the speculation right now is that we play 5 league games. You try to squeeze in league play, and then fingers crossed we get in some sort of a playoffs. And he thinks, Coach Rice thinks that, CIF could delay the start of football until about mid-February, maybe even into March, depending on how many games, if it's just league and playoffs, or maybe it's just league with no playoffs. So he's holding out hope for a high school football season. But again, those dates that you just saw, including football on January 8th, just throw it out the window right now because we're all on pause. We're all on hold waiting for those public health guidelines, which says no competitions and, in fact, no real practices. So I know a lot of these teams are working out, doing these athletic sessions, conditioning sessions, whatever you want to call them, but they're not real official practices quite yet. So, again, we're all on pause right now. So, speaking of, I had a chance to catch up with Canyon Springs High School Athletic Director Justin Remington about being an AD and hearing the news from the CIF and what that means, especially for the fall sports, which were set to begin in 2 or 3 weeks later this month. So there's a lot to unpack. Here's our interview with Justin Remington. Now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. He is the athletic director at Canyon Springs High School and a coach. He's been a local coach in our area as well, Justin Remington. And Coach, gosh, as an athletic director right now, I feel for you guys because you have such an important role. Obviously, on each of every high school campus needs a very involved athletic director, and right now, trying to manage and navigate all of the changes from week to week. What's it like being an athletic director right now, trying to make plans that we really don't even know if it will come to fruition? What's it like being an AD right now?
Well, it's as an athletic director, we think of ourselves as problem solvers and we like to have the answers and be able to provide those answers to our coaches and to our student athletes and right now we really can't do those things, and I feel it's uncomfortable, definitely. But at the same time, we're just trying to roll with the punches because our ultimate goal is we just want our kids to have an opportunity to play and to be engaged and feel connected again to the school and and that's been one of the things that's been tough with just the closure in general is we've kind of lost that connectivity. We don't have events, from dances to pep rallies to, the games. And so a lot of the students have lost that connection a little bit. So it's difficult for us, but I think it's more difficult for the coaches and for, our student athletes.
Well, Coach, I mean, just for example, so earlier this week, the CIF state office said, hey, we haven't even got public health guidelines from the state level. So, practices, real practices and competitions, basically everything's on hold until we get these guidelines. And those guidelines will likely not even come until January. So, again, going back to being athletic director, you're like, okay, the plans we had to start some of these fall sports in December, let's go back to the drawing board. And, is it like just one of those deals where it's like, okay, we had this plan, now let's crumple it up and throw it in the trash. Now let's try to come up with a new plan now as we kind of look, I guess, towards January as a potential start date maybe for these fall sports that have been pushed back to basically the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, we've started today kind of just canceling everything that we have in December. And we just, we canceled everything through January 9th to this point. And we're just, we're gonna continue to do whatever we can to fit a game in. If we can only fit 1 or 2 games in, and that's what ends up happening, that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna do everything that's possible to allow our student athletes to have a chance to compete, and it's difficult, and it does make it hard to plan for anything in the future. But I don't think you're gonna find any athletic director or any of our coaches, not trying to be optimistic and trying to, just say, okay, well, what's next? We're losing these games, but what can we salvage? And that's kind of just our focus is just, okay, we've lost this, we're going to move on. And we're going to do everything we can to try to get a season in.
And Justin, as an athletic director, is that kind of the message you relay to your coaches as well? Is because you mentioned the word being positive, and I know it's cliche, control what you can control. We've heard that quite a bit, but just trying to be positive, just trying to give your students that athletic experience that they want, and pushing forward in case we do have a season. I mean, what's kind of your message to your coaches as we kind of work our way to hopefully what will be a start of high school sports at some point?
Yeah, we just, it's obviously a question we get every day. Coaches, we're doing our athletic conditioning still for fall, and our Board of Education last night just passed allowing our spring sports to come back. And so every day we see our fall athletes coming in, they'll ask us, hey, are we going to have a game? Are we ever going to play? Are we going to come back to school? And the coaches are asking the same questions too. And it's, you want to be transparent, and you want to, obviously, be truthful. But again, it goes back to that. Athletic directors, we don't have the answers either. And it's hard for us to say one way or another. So we just stay optimistic. And like you said, sometimes it's cliche, but at the end of the day, it's just, we're encouraging our student athletes and our coaches to, stay involved in our conditioning. And it's really made a big difference with our student athletes. Our student athletes have had some issues grade wise. And now that they're coming back every day and they're seeing their coaches, and they're in their little pods of 12, they're seeing their teammates again. You can definitely see that it's making a positive impact. It's actually really showing us how much of an impact athletics has in a comprehensive high school. It is tremendous to see how they responded to it. And you would think that after like 7 or 8 weeks of doing conditioning, you would think that they would be bored or like, hey, I'm just going to stay home because this is just conditioning and I'm tired of running all the time. But our coaches really do a great job of making it fun, of, doing competitions within the guidelines and giving out prizes and keeping the kids motivated. And you can just see that student athletes are really having a good time, and that they value at least being here. And again, I think it does say a lot about how important athletics is to the experience of a high school student, you know?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I completely agree. And Justin, let me just ask you this. We'll wrap it up with this, that, you know, the next couple of weeks, is that as an athletic director, you just encourage especially your fall sports teams, just encourage the coaches to continue the conditioning, continue to motivate and encourage the kids, because again, we're all being positive. We're staying optimistic that we will have some sort of a season still in front of us. So the next couple of weeks is hey, just business as usual. Keep conditioning. Stay ready instead of having to get ready. Just stay ready because we don't know when we're going to get that green light. But when we do, we want to be able to be, hit the ground running, really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think at this point, stopping or just, kind of shutting it down is the direction that we want to go. So we just, the schedule is still in place. We still have a schedule in place. Yes, we're canceling some games, but our league schedule is still intact. And, so I just keep on stressing that, like, there's an opportunity, and with the state taking away, the regional championships and the state championships, that even gives us a little bit more wiggle room to try to get stuff in. So that's kind of the focus. I just keep bringing it back to, to that. There's a chance we're going to play. We got to stay ready because other schools are, right? Other schools aren't going to stop. And so we need to stay, focused and stay doing those things. But also, making it fun and taking some time off during the holidays for family, and usually more than we would normally we would be playing throughout the holiday season, right? Especially
soccer tournaments and basketball. Yeah.
The day after Christmas, you're back in the gym, right? And so that's gonna, I guess, be a nice part about it, is you get to spend that time with the family a little bit more, and but at the same time, we're gonna miss those I think, and so overall, it's just again, stay positive. There's a chance. We gotta stay, with the guidelines and do the best that we can and try to get these numbers down, and that's gonna give us a chance, So that's the focus.
Well, Justin, I really appreciate the time. Again, I'm staying optimistic as well. I know coaches and athletic directors and sports show hosts, we're all hoping to have some sort of a season, even if it is maybe just league play or I don't know, whatever it kind of looks like. And hopefully we'll find out something as we roll into January, as we roll into the new year. But Justin Remington, Canyon Springs Athletic Director here on the Inland Sports Show. Justin, I really appreciate the time. Thanks for the conversation. And hopefully next time I see you, we'll be in a gym or on the football sidelines or something like that.
Yeah, man, I hope so. And, we really appreciate the Inland Sports Show and all you guys do for the Inland Empire sports scene. And, you've been doing it for a long time. And I really appreciate it. And I know, our area appreciates you guys because it's needed, exposing our area and our high schools is great. And so we really appreciate what you guys do over there.
Yeah, well, speaking of, just being positive, just trying to shine a positive light on the great coaches and teams and athletes here in the Inland Empire, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do that maybe in another month or two. So Justin Remington, Canyon Springs AD here on the Inland Sports Show. All right, so that was our interview with Canyon Springs High School Athletic Director Justin Remington. And again, tough job for ADs out there right now, making plans, scrapping those plans, coming up with new plans. And we're all in this holding pattern right now. But again, as you just heard from Coach Remington, still call him Coach, football player at Novi, basketball coach. He did a little bit of everything, I guess. But as you heard, just staying positive, encouraging his coaches, encouraging his athletes. And I know it's a cliche, but control what you can control, right? And we'll all kind of continue to pause here and see what's going to happen as we fight for a high school sports season. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, man, They just beat the Washington Huskies. The UC Riverside men's basketball team, on a whim, last minute, goes to Las Vegas to play Washington, beats Washington, and win number 1 in the career of new head coach Mike Magpayo, who just had his first child, son Luca, just last week. So a lot going on for Coach Magpayo. He will join us next on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports. The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona. The number 1 sporting goods store in the Inland Empire is Kin Sporting Goods in Norco. Whether you need new uniforms for the entire team, a Letterman's jacket, or new cleats for the upcoming season, check out Kin Sporting Goods. Plus, now you can order masks with your favorite team, school, business, and more. Order for your entire team or organization. Visit kinsportinggoods.com for more information and for the latest on the big sales. Make sure to follow Kin Sporting Goods on Instagram and Twitter. So if you need team uniforms or sports gear, there's only one place to go in the Inland Empire. That's Kin Sporting Goods. Calling all athletes. Make sure you're at your very best by training at Boost Performance Training in Corona. Whether you're a football player, soccer player, baseball player, lacrosse, athletes from all sports and all levels train at Boost Performance Training. Led by former Centennial High School football star Ray Bass, you'll develop explosive power, become faster, and add that lean muscle. Don't be left behind and get a leg up on the competition at Boost Performance Training. Visit boosttrainingsystems.com for information on their training programs and also on the Bass School. That's the Bass Alternative School for student athletes. Trying to earn a scholarship? Maybe make the varsity team? Get a spot in the starting lineup? Well, let Boost Performance Training help achieve your athletic goals. Need an oil change? Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Family owned and operated, they're committed to our community. There's 2 locations, so there's one close to you. Off the 91 freeway at Arlington and off the 215 freeway at Alessandro. Oil changes are very important, so make sure you swing by. It only takes 10 minutes, and you can do a lot more than just have your oil changed. How about new wiper blades? How about an air filter? Plus many more services such as radiator and transmission. Find out more information at 2getspoiled.com. Don't wait. Get spoiled today. Inland Sports.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Inland Sports Show again from my living room for one more week, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back in the studio at Teen Vision TV 16. I miss you, Johnny Nunez, our director, who does such a great job with our show each and every week with the production value. It looks so good, and obviously, it doesn't look as good here in my living room, but I try. But we miss you, Johnny. We miss you, Teen Vision TV 16. But hopefully, the plan is to be back there next Wednesday, back in studio. Now, listen, this was a huge signature win for the UC Riverside men's basketball program, but it was also big on so many different levels. So UCR, on a whim, last minute, goes to Las Vegas, and they beat the Washington Huskies. That's huge in itself, just big. Then, it's also win number 1 for new head coach Mike Magpayo, one of the nicest guys, one of the smartest guys out there. And on top of that, the biggest news of all, congratulations to Coach and his wife on the birth of their son last week. So if you just look at the last week, Man, Coach Magpayo is having the best week ever. Here's our interview with Coach Magpayo talking about that huge win against Washington, now being a father, and what's to come for the Highlanders. Here's Coach Magpayo. Now join us here on the Inland Sports Show, fresh off his first win at UC Riverside, coming against the Washington Huskies. It is the great Mike Magpayo. And Coach, before we get to the win against the Huskies, I do want to say congratulations to you and your wife, the birth of your son. You had to miss the first game of the year. So just take me back maybe 6-7 days in the last week or so, what it's been like to be Mike Magpayo, because it's been full of ups and downs and great moments that you will have for the rest of your life now.
Yeah, it was nuts. We, our big due January 5th, actually, so we weren't even thinking about it. And then a couple weeks ago, she had a doctor's appointment, and he's like, "Oh, it's huge. New due date, December 19th." But still, it was a ways away. So we flew to Sacramento for the Pacific game a week ago today, actually. And when I landed at the airport, it was 1:02 p.m. I remember I got a call from my wife, Caroline, and she's like, "I'm at lunch at work, and I think my water broke." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well," and Tony, our team doctor, trainer, said, "You better stay at the airport just in case." So the guys went on the bus. I told them, "Hey, I think I'm about to have a baby," and they would just start cheering and said, "Get your priorities straight, coach." So I waited at the airport, and she told me, "Yeah, it's official. My water broke." So I bought a flight right back, turned around, and flew back. Missed the first game, but that morning, like 10 a.m. in the morning, we had my first baby, Luca, and so it's been wild ever since then.
And that was, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the day before Thanksgiving, I want to say, at Pacific?
Yeah, the Pacific game was the day before Thanksgiving. It was Wednesday, yep.
So your wife delivers Luca, and everything's great. You finally get to coach in your first game, and that was an experience as well, because this game against the Washington Huskies in Las Vegas was just, from what it sounds like, just kind of thrown together at the last moment. You guys were just looking for games, and you're like, "We'll take it." Yeah,
what happened? Well, Fresno State was canceled because they had a positive test, and you start getting all these calls because that goes on the ticker that it's canceled, and everybody started calling, seeing if we were interested to play. And this game popped up, and it's funny. I called Tamika, and she said, "Let's do it, man. Let's do it." And she kind of pushed me over the edge. It was two mornings ago. It was the day before the game. And I said, "You know what? Let's do it." And the administration hustled it out, and I had to cancel or postpone our Bethesda game. And we got it done. The contracts went back for a little bit of a negotiation for like the rooms and all that stuff and the dollars. And I called. I had Coach Weezy, our assistant, call a couple of the guys and just kind of get a temperature. And it was like, hell yes, like we want to play. Like the guys were so hungry to play because they were bummed when I told them about Fresno. We were about to get on the bus to Fresno, and we got the call like, they tested positive. So we took it, man. And these guys they jumped on it. Did a team Zoom, and they were hyped to play. They're just so hungry to play. And then it was just such a cool experience that I thought that they would get to play in T-Mobile Arena in Vegas against a Pac-12 team. And I wanted to get some sort of, Fresno State would have been our battle testing because they're a Mountain West program. So I still thought that we needed that regardless of the result. And obviously it was a great result.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I turn on ESPN and Sports Center and there's UC Riverside highlights, you guys obviously did something right. Did you have a chance to see that? Did you see some of the highlights and what they said about you guys?
It was Arinze Chittum, our pre-conference player there. His high school coach, Lou Ritchie, called me and he's like, "Hey, you're on ESPN." I'm like, "What?" And I was at Zepp's, our other assistant's apartment with our wives, just kind of celebrating, and so we put on ESPN, and there it was. So that was completely unexpected, and it's crazy. People are asking me like, "How hyped are you? How hyped are you?" And I'm like, I got home from the bus and just went straight to the hospital, and I'm just like, I think I was more calm than ever, and I guess anybody who has kids knows my first week, but your priorities kind of just, you figure them out. It's just, I don't know. I was a little calmer than normal during the game, and I think that Luca's our lucky charm. I think the guys like me more now that I had Luca.
That might be true. That might be the case. Coach, I'm just curious, where did you watch the Pacific game from? Were you in the hospital room holding Luca? Like, where were you?
So we had the baby at 10 a.m. and, went through all the stuff after. And then a couple hours later, 2 o'clock was the game time. And kind of planned as like, hey, Caroline, I'm going to watch the game. Turned it on in the hospital. And I was going nuts I wish I could help. I was just wanting to be there so bad, yelling at the computer. But the guys did a great job. And Zach, basically our top assistant, just did a fantastic job. Guys I could tell they were a little, there were some nerves early, and it just took us a whole half to settle in the game. But that was encouraging just to see our the second half felt like, watching it from the computer, felt like us. Like I was like, okay, that feels like what we were, what we've been defensively, and just felt like us. And again, you think about the guys that were, Flynn Cameron, guys that we brought in and putting into the lineup, Jock Perry, although they're big high major transfers, they had to get used to playing together, playing in our system, and just playing a lot of minutes. The first game Jock Perry played 33 minutes. That he didn't play. He played like 100 and something minutes total last year at St. Mary's. So it just getting used to that wind, and obviously he kind of settled in yesterday with 21 points. I believe, 21 points. So he's and Flynn was great. Led us in minutes yesterday. So obviously great win for us. And honestly, it was just, don't think, just play. And I think that kind of helped the guys. It was just like, no, just go play. And it's a basketball game. Guys, there's a basketball game tomorrow. You guys want to do it? And they're like, yeah. And it was just kind of that mentality. It just happened to be in a huge empty arena, which is kind of eerie, which is actually good if the Big West tournament is played in the Honda Center, just to kind of feel that.
Yeah.
Eerie. There's literally nobody in the stands. So it's kind of a trip.
Coach, finally, about the game, what did you guys do really well against Washington that you're like, okay, we can build on this as we go forward now?
Well, we got our butts kicked on the boards against Pacific, and we came back and kind of got back to that. That's been a staple for us. And the first 2 years we've been here, even the first year when we weren't as good defensively, we were always good rebounding wise. So we just really focused on that. And then so we out-rebounded them by 16 yesterday. To out-rebound a Pac-12 team by 16 is a big deal for us. And so we got back to that in our preparation. And just in a 24-hour, the assistant coach, Mike Lezak, did the scout. He just got us really prepared, like really simplified the personnel. So the guys really understood what it was. And then, Washington runs that Syracuse zone. Mike Hopkins runs, he was at Syracuse for 25 years. And so we just were really, really patient. And, we didn't really we didn't shoot the ball that great, but we got really quality looks, and then just got second chance opportunities because we were just crashing the boards.
Well, Coach, a new baby in the house right now, just entering the start of the college basketball season. You are not going to be sleeping very much. I got a prediction.
I know. I'm excited though to get him. He's still in the NICU just because he was 34 weeks preemie. But he's close. Like he's close to coming home. The good news is I'm getting coached. I change in my diapers while I'm getting coached by the nurses. So it's kind of great because I'm like, I'm still learning. They're coaching me on how to feed him and all that. And they're like, just get ready. Like he's gonna come home soon, and you're not gonna be sleeping. So we're enjoying the last nights of full sleep.
Well, Coach, everyone here at the Inland Sports Show, we are so thrilled for you and your wife. And then again, to add on to that, to get your first win against a Pac-12 school. I mean, wow, what a week for the Magpayo family. So, Coach, congratulations. Thank you for taking a couple minutes with us here on the show. We do appreciate it, and best of luck on the next one.
Thanks, Pep. Appreciate it, man.
All right, that's Mike Magpayo, head basketball coach at UC Riverside. Join us here on the Inland Sports Show. Coach Magpayo, everybody here on the Inland Sports Show. Big thanks to him for carving out a couple minutes in his very busy day. Next up, a trip to the University of Denver and Northern Arizona University to try to string together a couple wins here. A couple other quick notes. CBU tipping off against Southeast Louisiana. If you're watching us live, the Lancers at home tonight. They will also play Southeast Louisiana, the Lions, on Friday at 2 p.m., and then on Saturday, CBU against UC Riverside. women's basketball, it'll be the debut of UCR's new head women's coach, Nicole Powell. And CBU, on the other flip side, CBU, they are off to a 3-0 start. They beat San Diego State this afternoon, 75-71. Brittany Thomas had 26 points. Ani Oleda had 25. What an incredible duo for CBU. UCR will certainly have to stop Thomas and Oleda to have a chance. Saturday, 2 p.m. against the Lancers. Big thanks to our awesome sponsors, Spoiled, quick quality oil change off the 91 at Arlington, off the 215 at Alessandro, Boost Performance Training. I love you, Ray Bass. And of course, Ken Sporting Goods. They are having massive sales right now. So I know Christmas is now right around the corner. Get over to Ken Sporting Goods. Hey, I think we're still going to have a sports season. Do you have all your sports gear? Are you ready? Get over to Ken Sporting Goods and they can help you out as well. And finally, a big birthday wish to our dear friend, the Big Jeezy, Jeff Gorham. I won't say how old he is, but he is getting a little bit older. Big happy birthday to Jeff Gorham out there, who is probably on the couch enjoying some, I'm going to guess, The Mandalorian and a dinner with the family and just kicking back with his big dog Thor. But happy birthday, Jeff. My name is Pep Fernandez. We'll hopefully be back in studio come next Wednesday. Big shout out to Johnny Nunez and the entire team at Teen Vision TV 16. My name is Pep Fernandez. Stay safe, be well, be kind to one another, and we'll see you next Wednesday for another edition of the Inland Sports Show. God bless, everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Don't forget, there's 2 Spoiled locations now. I'm at the brand new one right off the 91 freeway at Arlington. You can spoil yourself. You can spoil your car. You come in here, 10 minutes, you're in and you're out. You're back on the road. Go check out Spoiled, local business, locally owned and operated. And they've got the location off the 215 freeway at Alessandro. And this one, the brand new one here, off of the 91 at Arlington.
I felt spoiled. It was great. I got in easy. I mean, the price was the best. The price is just helped me out. And what I really enjoyed about it is that they explained to me what was going on today. And I feel like when I walked out of here, I just felt so special. I said I had a new boyfriend. His name is Spoiled.
You got your flowers.
And I got
yeah.